Everyone. So Darvin Ham and Dennis Schroder really have this just relationship, right? I mean, Dennis Schroder and Darvin Ham date back to Atlanta days, and Darvin Ham really seems to like Dennis Schroder, really kind of confides in him and has him as like his sort of pit bull, right? He really likes ball attacking guards that can kind of just chase down the court and kind of apply pressure. And we've seen Darvin Ham really kind of utilize Dennis Schroder in the starting lineup. And then when we got the new trades, immediately he stuck with Dennis Schroder. But when LeBron wasn't playing, it did make some sense, right? You saw the success against the Golden State Warriors. Dennis Schroder being able to apply that ball pressure. Also him and D'Lo. They just are two very different styles of point guards and just guards in general, right? Like Dennis Schroeder's closer to Russell Westbrook than he is D'Angelo Russell, right? Dennis Schroeder is a downhill, like let me just drive, attack, get to the basket. He can shoot better than Russ, but he's not like a great elite shooter. He is pretty good at operating in the mid-range and just getting in his own shot, but he is probably best suited as a backup sixth-man type player. I mean, that's where he's had his most success, was in that sixth-man role. And again, with LeBron James missing a game, I can see and understand, maybe putting Dennis Schroder in the lineup for that other ball handler and just having a different look, having that guy that can get to the hoop, similar to LeBron. Like LeBron could just kind of put his head down, get to the hoop by just being physical, where Dennis Schroder is a little more crafty and just kind of wiggles his way to the hoop. And it just sets up all kinds of different offensive play sets and stuff like that. So I do get it. But when LeBron's in the lineup, it doesn't make any sense, right? Because LeBron's going to have the ball in his hands 90% of the time. And Schroder, again, isn't a great shooter. He can knock it down occasionally, especially when he's wide open. He can hit the three ball. There's no doubt about that. But he's not a 38, 39, 40% three-point shooter, where D'Lo is just much better suited off the ball next to LeBron James. And he just really fits. And so when you look at the starting five we went with, right, where you had Dennis Schroder, you had Malik Beasley, you had Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, this is just so much more of a well-balanced type of starting lineup. I mean, you could even interchange a couple guys, right? Maybe certain matchups, maybe like, say we're playing the Minnesota Timberwolves. Maybe you go with like instead of Jared Vanderbilt, maybe you go with like a Mo Bamba, right, just to match the size of Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. If you're going up and you need a little more scoring, right, maybe you go with Rui Hachimura and have him go. But either way, right, even if you swap, like, say, Austin Reeves with Beasley, whatever, it's just a much more balanced lineup to have, like, two shooters along with LeBron James. That's the formula of success, right? Put shooters around LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and you're probably going to win a bunch of games. And that's what the Lakers have been able to do. And having Dennis Schroder as that guy who can come in and be and run and operate the bench unit is just really huge, right? Like, that was the whole thing when the Lakers traded Russell Westbrook, was like, okay, now we have our starting five, we have depth off the bench, and now we still have our playmaking point guard off the bench that can really kind of come in, and a sixth man of the year type guy that can come in and really kind of still run the show. You can run some sets, right? Like, I don't mind seeing Schroder and D'Lo on the court together in small doses, right? You don't want that to happen, 40 minutes a game. But, if you want to run like a little 5-10 minute set throughout the course of the game and have Schroder and D'Lo, because of D'Lo's ability to play off the ball and just have different looks, especially against the Warriors, right? It works and makes a lot more sense against the Warriors, because the Warriors, they're smaller compared to most teams. They're guards. They run 3-4 guard sets all the time. So you can kind of get away with Dennis Schroder matching up with like a Jordan Poole, and then D'Lo matching up with a Steph Curry, or vice versa, right? You could put Schroder on Curry and then D'Lo on Clay, and then maybe like Reeves on Poole, right? So you can match those guard lineups. Again, it's all about just matchups, and the beauty that the Lakers have is that we now can actually counter those matchups, right? We can put out a sizable lineup. We could put out a defensive lineup. We could put out a small ball lineup. We can go the twin tower routes. You can do so many different things that we just didn't have the capability of doing prior. And I understand Darvin Ham, he really likes, like I said, he really likes those guards, those attackive defensive guards. And it works in Milwaukee because you have Drew Holiday, who is probably the best on-ball defensive guard like we've ever seen, right? He is just at it. He is elite. He is up there with the Gary Paytons and stuff like that of the world, right? Like, so it works. Dennis Schroder isn't that guy. Patrick Beverley wasn't that guy. I mean, a prime Patrick Beverley was a lot more effective, but, and Schroder is a solid defender. He just is a very specific type of defender, and you don't want him operating the starting lineup with the roster we have now. You have much more balance with the starting lineup and our bench unit when Schroder is that sixth man, and plus Schroder just gives you a different look. He can also lead, the fast breaks and kind of keep that run and gun style that we got with Russell Westbrook, and kind of have like a more fast-paced offense with Dennis Schroder, as opposed to where D'Lo's more slow, he's more methodical, he's more operates in the mid game, and operates in the half court a little more, right? Dennis Schroder, he's a guy that, yes, he can operate in the half court, but he's also a guy that, like, get the rebound and just go, and let him use his speed to generate buckets and generate plays for teams. So those are things that are really important. And Darvin Ham has finally made the decision, or at least it looks like, to move him to the bench in that backup role. And Dennis Schroder recently commented on this and spoke about this, and he said that, like, he doesn't mind Darvin Ham moving him to the bench role, and that his main focus is winning, and he doesn't care whatever he has to do for the team, which is, it's the generic answer, right? Like, hey, whatever I got to do to help the team get some wins and generate some wins, I'm all for it, right? And so that in and of itself, one, I'm sure he expected it, right? I'm sure he assumed, like, okay, Russ is leaving. We're getting the new Russ, who's probably going to take the starting point guard job because he fits better. And then you have Dennis Schroder coming in. I'm sure also Darvin Ham probably looked at, certain lineups, certain matchups, right? Like the last time LeBron, Schroder, and AD played together, they were like a plus 15.5. They were really good, but it was a different time and a different team, and you had different players and rotations. Now you just have like D'Lo, who is just so much better suited next to LeBron, and then also line up a shooter next to LeBron and D'Lo and Anthony Davis, and then you could either go with more shooting in Rui or go with that defense, right? If you're playing, like the Clippers, then you probably want to go with like a Jared Vanderbilt, right? Because that makes sense. You can match him up with Kawhi Leonard or, Paul George. But if we're playing a team like, whatever, if we're playing a team like Atlanta or something, then maybe go with Rui for the defense, and you still get the size on the wing. You still get, you get the mid-range shooting, all of that stuff. Like, Rui just gives you a different look. He's not the lateral defender that Jared Vanderbilt is, but he's big, he's strong, he can do a lot of those things. So the point is that we have those interchangeable pieces, but when it comes to the guard position and the guard rotation, I just don't think Schroder is that interchangeable piece. I think you could go with like a Reeves, you could go with like maybe a Troy Brown, you could go with like some of these other shooting guards that we have, but I still think you need to start D'Lo, and then you pair him with, like I said, a Beasley, a Reeves, you could even go Christie on some nights if you wanted to, though I think with the roster you have now, you have it. If you're going with Christie, you're probably going because, guys are taking the night off or injury or something like that. But even, maybe in the future, right? Because this is a team that we're probably going to have for the long haul. But Dennis Schroder, his skill set, I mean, he might be one of, if not the best backup point guards in the league. I know, like Tyus Jones, he's really good too. Don't get me wrong, like many people put him up there as the best, but Schroder's not that far off. A guy that could go and get you 20 and 10 off the bench, right? And he could do it like pretty consistently. starting wise, he just lacks the consistency, which is the problem, right? Like he lacks. Dennis Schroder he's better suited against the bench units because he's more effective. But when he's starting against starting units, especially with LeBron James and Anthony Davis stuff, like to where the ball's out of his hands so much, he's not able to be as consistent. Where I think him in the sixth man role, he'll be a lot more consistent because he can just run sets that are just him, right? So he's going to have more, 15 and 7 games, stuff like that, because he's going to be able to come off the bench and give you that bench production, give you that bench scoring. He's going to be going up against lesser talent point guards that are going to be trying to guard him, and he's going to have to guard and stuff like that. And again, you can run sets, like you can run moment, like, if you're playing the Warriors, throw a lineup of Schroder, Austin Reeves, and D'Lo out there. And it doesn't hurt anything because, again, then you have like D'Lo and Reeves that can shoot, and they can shoot at 40%. So Dennis Schroder, you provide that peskiness and that defense to guard, a Steph Curry or Jordan Poole or Klay Thompson or whomever, right? DiVincenzo, guys like that, because the Warriors are a smaller team and they operate and they run those heavy guard sets and stuff. You couldn't do that. There's a big difference between, having a 6'1", 6'2" guy, whatever Schroder is. His height is always all over the place. But, let's say, 6'1" Dennis Schroder, right? And then like a 6'4" D'Lo, and then like a 6'5" Austin Reeves. That's much different than like a 6-foot Kendrick Nunn alongside a 6-foot Patrick Beverley, alongside a 6-foot Dennis Schroder, right? It's just, it's the difference of the guard sets. And also the fact that they can shoot, right? Like having D'Lo, Beasley, and Schroder, Beasley and D'Lo can shoot and, shoot consistently, as opposed to, Kendrick Nunn, who was horrible for a majority of the season, or Patrick Beverley, who was horrible for a majority of the season. It just, again, Dennis Schroder as the sixth man it's the best approach for this Lakers team. And he should be willing to accept it. I'm sure he's okay with it. Most places he goes to, like even if he does leave the Lakers next year, which I actually think he's going to stay. I actually think the Lakers will give him like the mid-level exception or something, and Schroder will stay, because it's like, where else is he going to go? Anywhere he goes, he's probably going to be the sixth man coming off the bench anyway. There's very few teams that would actually start him, period. So it's in his best interest to stay with the Lakers, find a home, find a role. Darvin Ham likes you and is gonna get you playing time. You're gonna be able to thrive. You're gonna be in a system that works and that you understand. So I don't see Dennis Schroder going anywhere. I really don't. I think he's one of the free agents we definitely are able to keep, and he should just embrace the six-man role. Right? It's where he's had the most success. It's what makes the most sense on this Lakers team. It's what's gonna give him the most success. And even if he does go anywhere else, he's probably going to be the six-man role in that position and with those teams. So, again, just buy in, take the role, take it in stride, and get some wins, right? At the end of the day, man, I really believe Dennis Schroder is a guy that can help us win some ball games. I definitely think Schroder, especially come the playoffs, I think Dennis Schroder is a guy that can, get us a win or two and really help in certain key spots and key moments, right? Like, and I know some people are going to look at the last stint Dennis Schroder had with the Lakers and go, well, when we were in the playoffs, he didn't really show up. He was a different player after he got COVID, right? Like, if you go back and watch that season, you go look at it, Dennis Schroder was killing it. Like, he was hands down, far and away, our third best player that year and was really considered. Like I said, him, AD, and LeBron James were a plus 15.5. That's insane when they were on the court together. They were really good when they were on the court together. But he ends up getting sick, and he just never came back the same. I don't know if it was just the illness or, and it just took him a while to kind of get his legs back under him. What it was, I don't know, or, whatever. But at the end of the day, that's what really hindered him, and he just was never the same when he came back. And then even going into the playoffs, he still wasn't the same. Like he didn't have the step. He didn't really seem to have the endurance. It looked like at times he was like struggling to breathe and just exhausted, which are all things that go into getting COVID, right? So I don't really put that in there. I look at him and I look at like what he could do and how he could be utilized. And just being a guy that in 15 to 20 minutes, maybe some nights 25 minutes, just be a high energy, high motor, just nonstop, up and down type backup point guard, I think is very valuable. I do. But anyway, as always, is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think Dennis Schroder, yes, 6-man, let's get it? Do you think, no, like, start him in some spots? Do you think, whatever your thoughts are, however you feel about it. I'd love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below.